Alright, so here I am on the back page of the second page of these notes, and I'm trying to find sine, cosine, and tangent of a specific value angle right now. See, up here, what we were doing is finding it with b, right? B being the angle, lowercase b. But here I know what the degree measure is. I know that I have a 40-degree angle. Can I find the sine, cosine, tangent of that 40-degree angle? All right. What we're given is we're given that the 40-degree angle here. Okay. I'm also given this 10. Now I don't know if that 10, what the other two sides are. Like what this is, we'll call it x, or what this is, we'll call it y. So this side will give a name x. I don't know what that is yet. And this side will give a name. I actually don't want to do this in green. I want to do this side in orange, right? This is x. And then this side will give another name y. I don't know what the value is yet, but I want to figure that out eventually. So, what I can do is I can find the sine, cosine, and tangent of these angles and this of the angle, and it'll help me find the other two sides. All right, here's how we do it. What am I given? Well, I'm given the adjacent. I'm given adjacent. How do I know that I'm given adjacent? Well, I know that it's not my hypotenuse, because I know my hypotenuse is always across from my 90-degree angle. So here's my 90-degree angle. Across from that would be h. Okay, my hypotenuse. I also know that the opposite from my angle would be opposite, or O, which means what am I left with? I'm left with the adjacent over here. So this side would be opposite, or O, and then adjacent would be right next to the angle that is not the hypotenuse, which would be that one. Alright, since I'm given A, I'm actually going to start, and I know it's kind of a little bit wonky here, but I'm actually going to start with tangent. So tangent of 40 degrees is equal to, well, we know that TOA, which is O over A, opposite over, so X over adjacent, which in this case I know what it is. It is 10. Okay. So this is A, which is 10. I know that tangent is opposite over adjacent, or x over 10, but I need to figure out what x is. I know that that's a number. How do I find that number? Here's how. Here's a fraction. This is a fraction, x over 10. Okay? How do I get x by itself? Well, I take this fraction and I multiply it by 10 over 1, and then I multiply this side by 10 over 1. If I do that, I'm left with 10 tan of 40 is equal to x. 10 times the tangent of 40 is equal to x. Again, it doesn't help me much right now because I still don't know what 10 tan of 40 is. Still don't know what 10 tan 40 is. In your head, it's probably hard, but you have a resource that'll help you tremendously. Your graphing calculator will help you find 10 tan 40. The first thing that you need to do, though, go to mode and make sure you are in degrees. Right now I am in radians. I'm going to get the wrong answer. Because I'm talking about 40 degrees, I need to make sure my calculator is in degrees. Okay, so I put my calculator in degrees. Again, that is mode. And then I go down to degrees, radians, and I always select degrees. Put that. And I can simply type in 10 tan 40. Tangent is right in the middle there. You have sine, cosine, and tangent all right next to each other. So sine, cosine, tangent, I want 10 times tan 40, hit equals, and what do I get? 8.39. Now I typically will round to the nearest hundredth here, so 8.39 here. What does x equal? 8.39. Okay, rounding is kind of, I'm not going to say up to you, but like I said, I will typically always round to the nearest hundredth. That's just who I am. I'm a 2-decimal rounder. Also, the instructions say round to the nearest hundredth, so that will also be a good hint for you. Okay, again, that was O, 8.39, opposite. So now what do I have? I have opposite, I have adjacent, I don't have my hypotenuse yet, so let me actually use, we can do cosine. Cosine of 40 is equal to, well, what's cos? Let's think about this. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Alright, so what's adjacent? Adjacent would be 10. What's my hypotenuse? I don't know yet. Okay, I'm not sure. How do I solve this? Well, I do the same thing I did down below for tan. I want to get rid of that fraction, so how do I get rid of the fraction? Well, I'll just multiply by h over 1 on this side, and h over 1 on this side. And what am I left with? I'm left with h over cosine of 40 is equal to 10. H over cosine of 40 is equal to 10. Again, I'm still left with a fraction, which makes it kind of difficult for me. I don't even know what h is, so it's not like I can plug this fraction into my calculator and solve that, because I don't know what h is. But again, you can make another fraction. Right? You can make another fraction. H over cosine of 40 is equal to 10. Well, if I want to get rid of this fraction, I'm going to do cosine of 40 over cosine of 40 over 1 times both fractions, which is times h over cosine of 40 equals, so what I'm doing is I'm multiplying this left side right here by that, and then I'm going to multiply the right side by that too, so cosine of 40 over 1 times 10. Alright, these are going to cancel. What am I left with? H equals 10 cosine of 40. H equals 10 cosine of 40. Now, you can go to your calculator. 10 times the cosine of 40. Cosine 40. 7.66. H equals 7.66. Yep, right, 6. H equals 7.66. I know that was a lot of work. Cosine and sine are always the hardest ones, but H, I don't even have to call it Y anymore. I can call it 7.66. And 7.66 is your hypotenuse. Now, sine is very easy to fill out now, because sine, again, is so opposite over hypotenuse, which in this case would be 8.33 or 8.39 over 7.66, which actually has a value, 8.39 divided by 7.66, which is 1.09. Okay, so that's my answer for sine. It took us a little bit to actually do the math and figure out what each one of these side equals, but once I do that, I can go back and do the actual number. Sine of 40 is 1.09. If you would like, well actually, it'd be great practice if you did these two. I know they're difficult, I know they're challenging. Use your calculator. Make sure that you are in degrees in your calculator. And to be honest, I would, if I were you, I would do number 2. It's a little bit easier than doing number 1, and we see number 2 in the next lesson. So go ahead and do 2 first and then number 1. But either way, here you're given the hypotenuse, here you're given the hypotenuse, and you just have different reference angles as well. All right. Good luck. If you have questions, let me know. I didn't want to keep this video to be too long, so I didn't want to do another problem. But if you have questions, please let me know.